Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Be a Poser. Today, we're going to be flipping the magnetic field of the Earth. To do that, we'll be using the Magneto Sixth Scale Figure exclusive by Sideshow. Let's get started. All right, here he is, the Magneto Sixth Scale Figure by Sideshow. Still in his box, exactly the way he's going to come to you. We've got quite a bit to look at here, including a couple of portraits, an additional helmet over here, as well as a Cerebro helmet, a few other things. I can't wait to see what I can do with all this stuff, so let's get rolling. Okay everyone, Magneto, here he is, out of the box, ready to go. And this is actually really a cool figure. I think we're going to hit a levitation pose, because that's how I always think of Magneto. Not really always think about Magneto, but frequently think of Magneto as just doing something powerful while he's sailing through the air. So we need to incorporate this awesome base, which has a really awesome magnetic field motif going on. I'm also going to keep Magneto's power-eyed portrait with the helmet on for this particular pose. First things first, I'm going to start with him on the stand. Now, there are two elements to this stand. There is a groin grabber support as well as a old school waist support. So I'm going to pull out the waist support and wrap it around Magneto's waist just below the belt for starters, just to see how this works. You can see that when I put the stand on him, it sort of gets sucked in a little bit there, and it also raises up the belt. So after the belt gets raised up, you can kind of push it back down, and then sort of, a little poser vision action here, I think, but sort of pull it back down over the base, and then just drop that right back down. Let's kind of put one leg on either side of the groin grabber. So this isn't gonna work. You see what's happening here? The supports are actually pushing up his belt in a way that's just not really terribly attractive. And now we'll try again, only this time placing the waist grabber support higher up on his torso. Now, this is where we start to stylize it. So for that first step, let's change out the hands. Sideshow being cool like that, they have given us wrist pegs in every single one of these hands. So we don't really have to worry about changing those out. That's a big, big blessing right there. All right, cool. So we can see already that even having these hands on instead of the fists, he just has a little bit more presence. But for what I have in mind, I'm gonna want him to have his arms raised. Let's see how high that will go. Just kind of get this up like I want his arms out. So you guys can't see me right now, but I'm actually posing myself to see where these biceps should go. And just kind of like this is what I'm after. Now the plus side of having this power eyes portrait, so to speak, that I'm using for this particular pose, is that we're not confined to a particular direction. You know, notice he was like this before, so if you want to drop the head, which I do, to kind of make it look like he's looking at you from beneath his eyebrows, like he's really menacing, then you can. So that's step two. You can see where I'm going with this by now, I think. Now, for this next part, I'm going to bring back one of his legs. Now, I've got a trick that I do when I'm doing this. Typically, I would advise people to grab each portion of the leg at the joint and bend it this way. But I kind of tend to put a finger behind here, and then using my middle finger and my thumb, I kind of bend them that way. It accomplishes the same thing by taking the pressure off. Since this is a double jointed leg, you might want to do it both ways, a little bit of each, just to get that fine tuning in there. Now I'm going to move that foot back, and I'm going to bring this leg up just a touch. Now, that looks crazy. So I'm going to try something here. Let's just kind of get his legs together as much as we can. There we go. Now what I'm doing here is I'm getting this straight leg in front of the stand. I'm going to rotate it around and just show you that the heel is kind of hitting the front rather of the stand. That could provide a little bit more support. I don't know. I don't really think any more support is necessary. Now I'm twisting this leg so that we can get his legs just a little bit closer together. And I think that that's working out in our favor. What I want to do next is kind of break this line. I'm just imagining a plane that's going up through Magneto's hips, and right now it's totally straight, and I want to break that a little bit by turning his torso towards that straightened leg, and then continuing that break higher up with the other part of his torso, the upper part of his torso, and then a little bit more with his head. Now we're going to move this arm back just a touch. If it will let me, and it does. I'm going to bring this arm forward to compensate. I'm going to turn this leg toward me, and this leg a little bit that way, I think. This foot, a little bit more. And I'm going to try to arch his back just a touch, just to see what that looks like. Because before you see he was leaning forward like that, I'm not quite sure I'm digging that. That kind of just doesn't look all that menacing. So let's arch his back just a touch. Kind of means business when he's doing that. And then I'm going to bring the head down a little bit more to compensate to, again, get that menacing look on his power eyes. You can see how this is looking better already, right? Let's just rotate this hand up. Now I just don't want those hands separate either, so I'm going to bend this down. I'm going to try it this way as well. Yeah, I think that when you bend the hands down, there's a little bit more of a conductor sort of a vibe that I'm getting from it. If there's any symmetry going on, I want it to be in the arms. I think I've got the pose pretty much dialed. So now it's time to work on the cape. And we've got a lot to work with back here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires in this cape, including a slightly minuscule wire back here in the back. Now, let me just get a look at the front here. And this really isn't too bad to start with. But I want the impression that whatever is lifting Magneto up is also having a similar effect on the cape. So let's start by working with this wire and giving it some lift. We want it to drape across his shoulder just as it's doing here. That just kind of creates a natural curve from which you can develop the rest of the cape pose. And you see kind of what I'm doing here, just kind of slowly working my way down it, holding it with my thumb and middle finger while tapping the wire and creating a gentle curve to start with. Now we're going to do more things with that curve here in a minute. But I just kind of want to start with that one, then I want to move over here and do a similar thing with this one. And what we're doing here is we're basically starting the initial lift of the cape. This one's already done pretty well for me, so I didn't have to do a lot there. I'll look at that flow. That's pretty magnificent. Yeah, good quality wires in there, I can tell. So I'm going to do the same thing back here with this guy. Now, looking at it from the front, I want this line to continue, and then I want the cape to flow back here and then billow forward. So it's already kind of doing that on its own over here. I'm just going to rotate this fabric so that you're not seeing the seam. And you do that by just kind of gradually just rotating it around the wire. You can feel the wire between your thumb and fingers and just rotate it around there so that it's the inside seam is not visible. Once I've got that done, I'm going to do this bit where I just create that bend right there. And there we go. Now let's do the same thing over here. Again, hide that seam by rotating it just like that, and then just gradually create a slight curve inward at the bottom. Capes are a constant battle of adjustments. So I'm going to do this down here, kind of working with pleats a little bit here, a little bit there. Now I'm just going to style the back. I want this to curve down as well. That one can curve up, that's fine. I'm going to bend this outward a little bit because they were all kind of coming together in a point. Let's just kind of make sure those pleats just kind of hang out and don't look necessarily uniform. I'm going to create some more pleats here between the wired pleats. Every motion that you do with a cape is going to affect the rest of the cape. So just be patient and keep working with it, and eventually you'll have something really attractive. Master of Magnetism. Hero, terrorist, freedom fighter. Magneto has walked a narrow path that has seen him be all three of these things. This figure will allow you to represent Magneto in whatever way you like, be it at odds with the X-Men or fighting alongside them.
Did you enjoy that video? Be sure to subscribe by hitting the S icon on your screen and click the bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under product info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.